What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. I got a good one today. As you can see from the thumbnail, we're talking about my favorite person, Nancy Pelosi. She is a case study in superiority of how do you get to Congress, how you get the money, how you get the bag, how you move forward. But that might not be the only thing we talk about today. But we're definitely going to talk about the stock market. And I'm going to introduce our expert on the panel today. Go ahead and introduce yourself for the audience.
So how you doing, Erica? Really glad to be here today. My name is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, founder of the highest paid part-time job in the Word Options Trading Program. And really happy to be here to talk about these issues in the market and how you can utilize this information to put yourself in a position to make money in the markets. We can't guarantee anything, but what we do want to help you do is understand how you can leverage the markets to get the life that you want based on kind of understanding what's going on.
Right. And you guys, listen, you're just going to have to put up with a little bit of the echo. We have a different wireless headset than our usual one we have at the home office. I will be on the road for approximately 27 days. There ain't nothing I can do. You guys have to work with the sound. All right. So, again, now, you see the thumbnail I used. There's a reason I use it. Nancy Pelosi's husband just came out in the news. Well, he didn't come out. We've talked about him, right? That he just made $3 million. Maybe was it Wednesday or Tuesday?
Yes, ma'am.
And the big kerfuffle around Tesla is the fact that they have a 2-year option. And so a lot of people are like, what is a 2-year option? I don't understand. Could you break that down a little bit for us?
Yeah, so option really means, and it's really based on the right that you have the ability to do something or not to do something. And so when we're looking at the market, what an option means is that you have a particular position on the stock, whether it's a call or a put, and you have the option to exercise that particular option at that particular date or before that date if you decide to. And so when looking at Nancy Pelosi, but especially her husband, he's been able to utilize the options market, and that's something that we talk about on this channel, and that's also something that I teach, to figure out how can I put myself in a position to either get access to those stocks or trade these particular options and make profit because of movement in the market. And this is something that's really not talked about in the mainstream, something that we are really not exposed to. I just got exposed to it over the last few years. But this is a massive market with billions of dollars of liquidity. And we see the rich and the powerful operating in this market, understanding how they can leverage this market to get what they want to get out of the world.
Now, first things first, I want y'all to understand that most people in Congress have been there for 50 plus years.
Yeah.
30 plus years. Like, I remember there's a man in our hometown of Fayetteville. He got, I guess you would say, not elected the next term. And then he was already running again for a different position. And I remember someone saying, hey, you got this DUI. You had some blemishes on your record. Why don't you go sit down and do something else? That's just it. Black dude didn't know nothing else to do. Like, he's been running since he left. I think he called it NC Central
Yeah.
in Durham. Since he left college, he's been running. He was like the youngest elected person. So that's his job. That's his career. And so what, he got a DUI and got put and didn't get voted in again, right? He was going to run again into something else. And so what you have to understand is he's playing a low level of what we'd call the house of cards, right? The house of cards on top, where people are being there getting paid $200,000. People say that's not enough. Now, majority of Americans don't make $200,000 a year. Some doctors don't even make $200,000 a year. Rural area doctors. But just in that moment, they get there to Congress, and the average congressperson after 5 years is a millionaire. Why is that?
And one of the reasons is because, and we understand how this country is composed, where especially at the highest level of politics, the business forces essentially dictate to them how things are going to go. And so what they do is they leverage those relationships, most importantly, the relationships, they leverage their access to understand how to position themselves. And it's not illegal for them to be engaged in the market. It's not illegal for them to be engaged in the real estate markets once they're in this particular position, and also members of their family. So one of the reasons why the money that they make, and really, let me break this down. If you become a national level congressperson and you only gonna make $250K, the issue is that's really a lot of money because you don't have bills.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, you're able to comp everything, all your expenses out to the taxpayer, and then you get to take it in at 200,000, and then you're able to leverage your relationships, your access to different people to figure out how to position yourselves in the market to make money. And that's really what we may believe that Nancy Pelosi's husbands may have done. We can't say that he did that, but it's very unusual that we start talking about his Google contracts. Is that Microsoft lost that I think it was $10 billion Jedi deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we saw was that because now that particular deal is back open, those Google contracts became more valuable. And so we got to understand is that they're able to leverage those relationships and their understanding of the market to where the money that they make salary-wise isn't really important, because it's the relationships that you're able to get in those positions that you can now figure out how to monetize.
So part of that too is I think Nancy Pelosi and her husband and her family, if I can verify before I say it out loud, they own or they're partial owners of a sports team. They are very in 2009. I know they paid like $12,000 to be in a smaller franchise, and
Okay.
now I think they want to go to football. If I'm not mistaken, I think he blew millions basically when they own the Sacramento Mountain Lions. It's a UFL team. I don't,
Okay.
not trying to. And in her opinion, Paul wasted money on that. So, so it's very interesting that the family over the years to even have 12 million, right? And so he is an American businessman. I'm gonna pull up Wikipedia just to share it so you guys don't think I'm just pulling this out of nowhere. And I don't want to insult the man because let's be honest. If my wife was in Congress, and I could know a thing or two, hey, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just so you guys see, not pulling this from just out of nowhere. Uh, Born in San Francisco, of course. Let me get down here. He went, and this is no dummy. Foreign service at Georgetown University,
Okay.
MBA from the Stern Business School of New York City. He's been on the Foreign Service Board at Georgetown since 2009. Again, you guys, I told you I went with United Way to become a multicultural leadership board member. Went through a program to learn how to do that because the average board member is a 60-year-old white man in America, across America. Now, here's the part where you see it. Pelosi funded and runs a venture capital firm called Firm Leasing Services. Throughout, he and his wife, Nancy Pelosi, have amassed a personal fortune of $114 million. Now, if y'all don't understand what I just said there, I'll just read it again. Pelosi founded, now this husband founded a venture capital firm called Financial Leasing Services, and they have 114 million. If you have a capital firm and your wife is one of the most powerful people in Congress, how fast do you think people will invest with you?
Exactly. Exactly.
So again, just putting that out there, no disrespect to them. He's earned it, however you want to say it. But again, after previously investing in Oakland Invaders, a United States Football League in 2009, he purchased a franchise in the UFL League for 12 million called the California Redwoods. The Redwoods would later move to Sacramento and become the Sacramento Mountain Lions. Now, of course, this was one of his worst blemishes of his career. Because it's now defunct. It doesn't exist anymore. Sacramento Mountain Lions don't exist anymore. But I just wanted to make sure y'all understood how that game works.
So he's dropping money into professional sports, trying to get some of that pro sports money.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it's newer. But yeah, so you guys, thank you for being here. There's 150 people here. Drop your city and state in the chat. We're talking about stocks options, and so what are some other things that kind of like, people are like, okay, how is this not illegal? That days before she was supposed to vote on Tesla, providing the government with electric vehicles, which again, she didn't say Tesla, but they passed a law that uh, all government vehicles will have electric vehicles. So that's a big contract Ford is going to lose if they can't provide the vehicles. Who's another person that can provide the electric vehicles?
I think you might have heard of, you got Tesla.
Hmm.
You also got another company that was supposed to provide vehicles to the United States Postal Service, which is called Workhorse.
Hmm.
Let me think of another team. You got Lordstown Motors. I don't know if they were going to do electric. I know that they're going to do vehicles for the government, but they also had that access. But the leaders primarily, and you also have Ford. You also have GM.
Hmm.
So you have a lot of manufacturers moving in that particular space. But Tesla already has relationships with the government. They already figured out how to get their particular cars subsidized through a
Hmm.
particular subsidy. When you buy a Tesla, the state or the government is subsidizing the cost of that. And so we understood that when Biden came in, we already predicted there was going to be a big push towards EV. And we
Hmm.
believe that was going to cause a lot of the EV manufacturers to go up. And I think that's the reason why we see so many EV companies out now, is
Hmm.
because they believe that Biden's going to pass a particular bill that's going to essentially allow funding for those particular manufacturers. It's going to start moving people into that market. So
Hmm.
we already knew that there was going to be a big push in this particular direction. But we got to understand is that as long as we can't, unless we can prove that Pelosi told her husband what to buy because of something
Hmm.
that was going to get passed, there's really nothing that you can do about it.
So I love how they do a fact check. You guys know how
Yeah,
Facebook fact checks are. If you say water's wet, fact check inappropriate, right? So fact check Nancy Pelosi's husband's investments unrelated to Joe Biden's executive order. Now, I don't know about you, but when you have a significant other, you do tell them what's going on in your day.
exactly.
I don't know what else 80-year-old couple could be talking about. I don't know. I mean, hey, they could be doing whatever. All right. So the claim is Pelosi bought 1 million in Tesla stock. Biden bought 645,000 electric vehicles. Let me say it again: 645,000 electric vehicles. Now, of course, uh, they have an executive order. It's called Buy American. All right. And it happened January 25th. And so everybody's like, oh, you guys are just misinformed. Now, if I know, let me get down here. Let me see here. I'm trying to think what's the trying to get close to the date. All right. Anyway, so I'll just put it this way. He signed it on January 27th that they would have an executive order to transition to clean zero emission fuels. Now, if you've been watching this channel, I basically told you guys replacing these. Well, I'm gonna finish reading this part. Replacing these videos would be $20 billion. Let me say that again. As of 2019, the government already owns 650,000 videos. But in order to replace all these with electric videos would be $20 billion.
20 billion.
So of course, someone bought her up on ethics, and the Government Act requires Congress members to talk about if they did anything. Someone filed a report on Pelosi on the 24th. I don't know who, but Pelosi also filed a report telling them that her husband purchased Tesla and other companies, and he bought 25 call auctions, a
Yep.
contract to purchase a stock without obligation at a certain price until an expiration date of Tesla stock between $500,000 and $1 million on December 22nd. So let's say that again, you guys. I'm not trying to be funny. January 25th, they passed the bill. January 27th, Biden signs the bill. December 22nd, a month, almost 30 days on the dot. He just happened in the middle of 3 days before Christmas to buy 25 co-ops. So the transaction report includes where she had to disclose that they have 20,000 shares of Alliance Burson stock, 100 call options of Apple stock, and 100 call options of Walt Disney stock. Now, members of Congress are allowed to buy stocks according to the Stock Act of 2012 because that's where it was moving, right? But it prohibits them from using information they access on their jobs to pay buy stock. Y'all, I don't know if they think we were born yesterday. I'm not certain. But if your husband 3 days before Christmas is like, I'm not home with my grandchildren, let me go buy 25 call options on
Exactly.
Tesla. And exactly 30 days later, Joe Biden is like, oh, okay, they pass it. Executive order. Now, this ain't a regular thing. This is
Yeah.
an executive order. This has to be done. Come on, y'all. I don't know about you, but I know that didn't sound right to me.
Yeah, and it shows you when you look at he paid between $500,000 and $1 million. That's the level of conviction he had on that particular play.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he dropped 10,000 or maybe 20,000.
Hmm.
He put a sizable amount of money on those particular contracts, and we talked about this before. He bought really deep in the money,
Yeah.
so it was really a really good safe bet to buy that much time and also buy really really deep in the money, because they pretty much understood that they were going to go in that direction.
Hmm.
And so we can't prove that she told him that, but we understand is that, and we see this with a lot of our national level politicians, that they know how to leverage their position to
Hmm.
figure out how to make themselves and their family really rich or even wealthy, right? And they're utilizing it doing options, which is something that they'll never talk to you about,
Hmm.
but it's something that is utilized by people to figure out how to monetize, how to make money, how to put themselves in a better position financially.
Right. So part of I think people's, even if they say, oh well, it's partially false. I don't care. You can fact check that all day. There's no way I believe that that man didn't know. Was notified by his wife. Um, if you know the government's forcing the hand of replacement at $20 billion,
Yeah.
even if Tesla has to split $20 billion with Ford, you know what I mean? Like at least 10 billion if you knew your company. To me, that would explain why Tesla's like, oh, we doing everything in Texas. We building cars. We're hiring 1,000 people. We're gonna build all this stuff. We're gonna, because they know they're gonna get the money. It's between them and one other person. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Ford could try to keep up with that, but only other place I see making all that is what, Detroit. And
Yeah.
Detroit every 2 weeks wants to strike because they want more benefits in a world where that's over. Y'all, I've been to Detroit at least 10 times now, and they strike every time I'm there. I kid you not, Dave. We drive by. She's like, "There's the building," and they outside striking.
Mm.
For what? She's like, "Well, they need more healthcare benefits. They make more money than the average person in the whole city. Why don't they pay for their own healthcare?" Well, that's a hard job they do. I don't care. They've been doing it for 30 plus years. It's somewhere somebody has to pay for their own stuff. So
I feel you.
that's why Tesla's gonna have it. Tesla got it in Texas. And guess what? Julio and Jerome and everybody else, they gonna work and
Yeah, they
not
gonna
even
work.
complain.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, that's $20 billion on the plate. Now, if you guys have ever watched the House of Cards, some of it's over the top, but it's highly believable, right? I'm not saying you should go call up Nancy Pelosi's husband and follow everything he does, but he's going to be the first person I look to actions to see where we're going. Why am I saying that? Because if you don't know about Oregon, Oregon just passed a bill for 2030 to stop having uh, diesel trucks be made in their state and diesel be sold in their state. Now you're gonna
Mm.
say, Erica, what does that have to do with anything? That's silly. Well, 2030 is only what, 9 years from now, and on top of that, 2030 being 9 years from now, how will truckers get into Oregon and drop off products and services?
Yeah.
How will semi truck owners, how will farmers, because farmers get a certain type of diesel, um, be running their farms, be running factories, be running tractors? These are things you guys have to pay attention to. People thought it was a fluke. Oh, it's just Oregon being Oregon. Don't worry about it. Half the state was up in arms because they live out in the rural parts of Oregon and they use diesel heavily,
Yeah.
right? You're just thinking about, if I'm thinking about in Texas as I drive down the road, F-150s, F-250s, F-350s, dualies everywhere. This is a very common fuel source and vehicle source. So pay attention to these things. I drop these breadcrumbs on here because I think it's important. And I also want you guys to understand that you will see massive separation like never before. And it will literally be people who have a skill, know how to operate that skill, regardless of what's going on in Congress. People in the middle who are just going to work and like, what's going on? And then people at the bottom who refuse to get the new skills, to
Yeah.
get in there, right? They're going to be made a permanent underclass regardless. Like right now, I don't know if Dave saw this, but they just passed that they're going to do another round of PPP. But this time, if you apply for $2 million or more, they're not going to ask you for additional paperwork.
Mm.
So we joke and say that's why I keep telling y'all on QuickBooks say they're gonna need more accountants. And when people say that American Greed shows are gonna be lit,
Yeah.
it's going to be lit.
So
Because before this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so if they ask for more than 2 million, they're not gonna ask for your paperwork.
So a supplemental paperwork. So
Okay.
right, so I could just write on a piece of paper that I made this.
That's what I'm saying.
I can give you a draft of my taxes that aren't even sent out yet, and
Okay.
they can take that as information, as the
Mm.
gospel. It's like ninja no doc loans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I said, y'all
Okay.
think American Greed was gonna be lit before you're
Yeah.
gonna see
It's gonna
dummies
get
buying,
crazy.
because it used to be an automatic, hey, oh, you want $1 million? We need some extra
Yeah.
information.
Exactly.
And what ended up happening is a lot of people fell through the cracks that last past time that didn't even have companies, right? They caught a bunch of Indian folks and I mean Indian from India,
Yeah.
uh, who claimed to have all these gas stations and storage units, didn't have any. They caught a guy claiming there was 45 different chicken farms. He had no chicken farms.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's not black people, it's white people and other races. Big fraud in New York. Taxi cab services, taxi cabs aren't even that big anymore, so just claiming these outrageous things and getting millions of dollars. So it's just, be careful.
Okay.
So but that's where I had to go with that. And so my biggest thing is this week Kathy Wood made a lot of noise because she said there's a crash coming that we're not even going to see. And what does that mean?
Okay. So one of the things I think she may be talking about is inflation, and I think that she may feel like because of the federal monetary policy, we may get a crash in the stock market. I'm not 100% sure that it's going to go the way she thinks it's going to go. She has her own perspective on trading, but I do think inflation is something that we're going to have to worry about because The Federal Reserve has already said that they're going to deal with a certain amount of inflation. And then once it presents themselves, they believe that inflation is going to be transitory. And then
Mhm.
from there, they're going to start manipulating the interest rate to get that back down. What we have to try to determine is the inflation actually going to be transitory or is it going to be long term? And then how is that going to affect the overall market, especially the consumer market, the consumer price index, but also the real estate market?
Well, one of the biggest things I think is apparent is the government will tell you, "Hey, something's temporary. It's not that bad. Don't
Yeah.
worry. We're going to be fine." They said that in 2008. The crash really didn't happen in 2008. The crash happened in 2007. See, people, you don't have to argue with me. You can actually go look back at people who have researched this. It really happened 2007. George Bush sent us out a bunch of what checks were they like $300 economics, like,
Yeah, yeah,
hey,
man.
go spend some money checks, and nobody thought anything of it. It was like a blimp, but it had already crashed in 2007. We were just going into it in
Yeah.
2008 and 2009. So that's why when people say, "Oh, my parents never recovered," I'm like, "Did your parents not recover from 2007, or did they not recover from 2009?" There are two different periods that happen. Let me see. You guys have a ton. Also, didn't you just talk about in a video about China?
It
Talking about
definitely.
Tesla ought to just give it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the issue with Tesla in China is that the deal with their particular regulations in China, especially from a data standpoint, they're going to be very, very stringent. And so what you got to understand is that you have to play their game to operate in China. And America just said that they're going to ban certain Chinese companies because of Chinese policy. But to operate in China, whether you're Tesla, Nike, McDonald's, any of these particular companies that have really big footprints in China, you have to play their game. One of the biggest challenges I think that Tesla's going to have is that the Chinese government is going to take more and more and more and more from them. And then the question is, I don't believe that the Chinese government actually wants Tesla to be the leading EV manufacturer in their country. So as you give more and more, let's say I want to be in a relationship with somebody, and I say, well, you know what, they need to do, whatever I have to do to be in that relationship, I'm willing to do it. The problem is that takes all the power away from you. And so what I'm worried about Tesla is that when the Chinese government is done with them, what are they going to have? Because I don't believe long term they're going to have access to that particular market. So that's something that we want to observe because we believe that the Chinese market is going to be the largest market for EV in America. Even though the United States is doing a lot of stuff, we believe the Chinese market is going to be the largest EV market, which is why Tesla is bending over backwards to get into that particular market. So that's just something that we want to observe.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Miss Bella. I'm happy you're here. Thank you for so many
Yeah.
people coming in from Philly. Somebody's in here from France. Thank you for coming in from
Okay, what's up
France.
from France?
Salute to France. I'm trying to go to France hard, but you guys out there riding all the time and lock the streets up. I'm scared. Okay, what's up, Brooklyn? Hope you're not flooded. I think that's a different part of New York. You know what? I don't know. I haven't watched them much, but I will go check it out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
you
Jabriz is
now,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, if you can buy the theta, it's a good deal. The time is good to buy if you can actually buy the theta. The biggest issue that a lot of people have is they can't afford that theta. They can't afford to buy those longer expiration dates.
Mm. And
Yeah.
and is it just so much more expensive, or what is the?
Yeah, because when you're looking at an options contract, what you're purchasing normally is you're purchasing volatility, you're
Hmm.
purchasing a theta, and you're also purchasing intrinsic value. So the way the contract is priced, from a standpoint of that, when we're looking at Mr. Pelosi's options, what he's purchasing a lot of intrinsic value because he's buying deep in the money. He's not buying a lot of volatility, and he's also purchasing a lot of theta. Those things can be more expensive. So what you want to do is you want to be very research driven and look for great opportunities because you can find really good opportunities in the market where you can buy intrinsic value and you also can buy theta that may not be the really, really popular options. You know, we know the Googles, the Amazons, the Apples, the Nvidias, those are really popular because those are the big names, the Teslas. But there's opportunities in the market that you may not be aware of because of a lack of research that you can find just from sitting down and researching. But I'm a big fan, and I believe this, and I've talked about this. And we're seeing this with Mr. Pelosi. If you can buy time in this market as an options trader, you can kill this market. Like you can be very profitable. You just got to figure out how to buy time, and it may not always be on the big tickers that everybody talks about, right? So that's the thing. Geechee Dan, you're 100% correct, Mr. Geechee. And I got people from South Carolina too.
Yes, South Carolina folks, I see y'all.
Yeah.
I see a lot of DC. We'll be in DC August 28th. We'll be in Atlanta August 21st, and we will be in San Diego August 7th, and Oakland August 14th. What surprises me every day I come on here and talk about this tour, I still have people like, "Oh, you're going on tour?" Yes, we are going on tour. I know the internet's a lot's going on, lots of noise. There's 250 people here. Make sure you guys drop a like. Help me fight Skynet. What's up, Los Angeles? Hello, South Carolina, bad cousins. Um, I mean, hey, a lot of
Exactly.
people don't know what's the number one perk. I think honestly, unless really, we're not accusing anybody of insider trading per se. Let's say that. But what I am saying is, you cannot immerse yourself in a room of millionaires and
Exactly.
not come out a millionaire.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's like, "Oh, Barack Obama, something must be guilty. Something must be wrong. He's a multimillionaire." No, he's had time to watch. He's
Exactly.
had time enough to go. If I work in politics long enough, I'll have enough connections that everything else when I come out, no problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
And yeah, the Clintons did the same thing. They
Hmm.
came out of they were worth a few $1 million, probably
Hmm.
under 100 million when they came out. They're billionaires now. It is because of the relationships that they created. Because we talked about before, our national level politicians are here to serve large business interests. So when you immerse yourself in that level, at a high level, you're going to develop those relationships, and they're going to just plug you into what they have going on, especially if you have the capital to come in on deals with them.
For sure, for sure. What's up, Phoenix, Arizona, by way of Sacramento, California? There's so many Californians in Phoenix, Arizona area. I might have to do something in Phoenix. Y'all out there deep. Brooklyn, New York. Yep. I'm surprised he's not worth more. I mean, he may be worth more. That's what Wikipedia has scraped the internet and the public records for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard it was worth like 250.
Oh, it's totally possible.
Yeah,
Um, NIO is a new Tesla. I don't know about that. Dave,
yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and we were talking about that cool dude. Is that I believe that Tesla. I don't think the Chinese Communist government is going to let a foreign car manufacturer be the number one EV manufacturer in their country. So we know that a lot of companies are really they do well in China because they essentially the Chinese government says you're going to be the go-to company for this particular thing, and we think NIO is going to be that car. So full disclosure, I have some exposure to NIO from stock standpoint. I don't have a lot, but I do have some, and it's because I think NIO is going to be the company in China that is going to be the EV company for China. Right. There may be some other smaller operators, but I believe NIO is going to be that particular company. And I believe what they're going to do personally, to be very frank with you, I think that the Chinese government is going to steal all of Tesla's intellectual property.
Hmm.
And then when they get done stealing it, they're going to essentially make Tesla leave the country.
And there ain't nothing they can do about it. Not a
That's nothing they
thing.
can do about it.
Not a thing. Uh, are they mad Elon moved to Texas? I think the whole country's mad that people are moving to Texas because it's in Florida as well. Like, you see, if you pay attention to the news, they just refuse to even acknowledge Florida. Right? That Florida's thriving, that the economy's going great. Like, only thing you've heard out of Florida is, oh, that building collapsed. Look how bad Florida is.
Yeah, yeah,
If you've been to Miami, you see those buildings.
yeah,
That building they're talking about, that's some funny business. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. But
yeah, yeah,
it's some way funny business because they build those buildings with such a level of you on an island on some water. Like, you
yeah.
at the bottom. That's not possible. So I think there's just funny business with Florida and Texas. People are going to be very pissy. Thank you for the super chat. Brian, if somebody else teaches that, you should go to them and ask them to finish teaching it. Uh, what I teach in Middleman to Millions is what I teach, and uh, I'm willing to accept any questions if you ask those. So, okay, let's see. Is the Bellamy Index a EV company?
Gregory Bellany, IDEX is an event company.
I'm
So
not
is
certain.
is an electronic vehicle company. I'm not sure. I never heard of that. I don't know what they
Yeah,
did.
neither.
All I know is the stock never stays on no matter what the good. I think he was talking to IDEX. I never heard of IDEX, but I can go look it up.
I know, John. It's kind of funny. It's like, how do you not expect them to know that stuff?
Yeah,
There you go, Jabras, and that is why
exactly.
I bring on Time and Dave, because I think and I'm gonna we're gonna have future shows where we talk about this, where I think we get comfortable in certain lanes,
Yeah,
and I'll go there quickly, and I'll move on. Trucking, because we all know somebody who's a truck driver, this or that, because we know these lanes. Stock market lanes are wide open.
yeah,
Online business lanes are wide open. See, we look online and we say, well, only a few people doing this, so it must be saturated. That's not true. Trucking's about to get hit for real hard, and I'll do a future show on that because people are like, "Oh, you're a quitter, dude." They're resetting the table for the insurance, and the insurance is like choking the lifeblood out of you. If I pay 1,500 for a truck, and that's all I'm gonna make income wise with 3PL at the end of the week, and now they're gonna double insurance. You don't think that 3PL is gonna put that on you? So now
Yeah.
you're paying them $3,000 a month for insurance for one truck, and you might make 5K total. So now really you're gonna make 2K extra a month. That's gonna kill a lot of small carriers, right? Or kill the passive income game. But I'll talk about another thing. There's a lot of things moving on the table, and I want y'all to be able to open your eyes and see those things that are moving. And how can you prepare your honesty for yourself for if we have another future lockdown? If you know how to trade
Yeah.
options enough for, and Dave tells you in his class, enough to make 2 grand a month, that solves a lot of people's problems.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And Jabras is that, it's not the fact that they're too risky for the average person, is that most people don't understand how to minimize the risk. And so that's something that I really teach people, is to put risk management first.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that are following other people on YouTube and buying what they tell you to buy, that works until it doesn't work. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest problems that I saw, we're not going to name the name of these other shows, is when we had that market sell off in February, because most people only talk about the market going up. They don't really teach you how to make money when the market is going down. I'm really good at how to make money when the market is going down. If you see a lot of the stuff that I put up online, it's normally going to be put contracts, because I want to really impress on people that you can make money both sides of the market, not just going up, it's also going down. I'm really good at being able to figure out how to make money when the market is going down, but I'm also really good at teaching you how to minimize risk. And if you can put risk management at the forefront of all your options trading, it can put you in a position to be successful, because you don't get caught up in the euphoria of the market. When we look at a lot of these meme stocks, they're very much based on euphoria, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once the euphoria is over, everybody rushes out of the door because they're looking for the next opportunity to be euphoric. So when everybody is getting fed these options plays from these guys on the internet, there's nothing wrong with that. But the question is, one, do you know how to create your own plays, which is what I teach? And do we understand how to make money on the market when it's going down, not just when the market is going up, because the market goes in both directions, but it also goes neutral.
Perfect reason. Exactly, Geechee Dan. Why would these people spending millions of dollars to get a
Exactly.
job that only pays 200,000? Know the
Yeah.
game. Listen,
Yeah.
this is why and I'm gonna do another video on it because I think I didn't cover it enough. But I told y'all there are two young white boys who are 19 and 20 years old, spent a year. All they did for a year was set up the tables and chairs, stayed after and talked, stayed after and ate dinner, and connected with people at the real estate investment meetups all over Texas. They were both at UT in Austin. By the end of the year, they let them speak on stage.
Mm.
Those boys raised $30 million at 19 and 20. So when people tell me, oh, well, Erica, da, 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 it's really being immersed in the room. It's being face to face with people. And the fact that the guard was lowered because they
Yeah.
done seen these boys all year long and they knew the right words to say. This is very common. And people are say, well, their parents helped them. No, not $30 million. Their parents didn't. And their parents aren't millionaires. So again, I just want y'all to understand, being in the room with the right people, with the right knowledge, being immersed cuts through so many stuff so fast.
Yeah, definitely. Because
Hello.
I wish I was in the room. I knew about that stamps deal, because I would have killed that thing yesterday. I had no idea that was even coming.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
what is it? The United States Post Office and stamps are going up
Yeah.
August 20th. I think
Yeah.
that's what's going on. Um, hey, listen, not touching that one. They keep mysteriously going out, all five.
Yeah.
Let me see. I don't know. I do not know. I do not know. But I know there's got to be somewhere. It's got
Yeah.
to be
And
somewhere.
they have to report it, I think, quarterly. So I don't know if any sites. It may be something that is actually have to actually report to the federal government. So there may be a federal site or a government site where they have to report it, but they do have to actually report it because it's considered on the public record. So that's how we find out about Mr. Pelosi's options buying, is because he and Nancy Pelosi are essentially married. So essentially they're together. They do have to report what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And so when Kathy Wood, who is everybody loves her, and we almost got
Yeah.
300 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button. When she said that, is she still their darling? Are they gonna have to put her? Because anytime Peter Schiff talks about something negative, they get him out of there. What do you think?
I think they stick with her. The biggest thing is, I think, and I know you understand this because you come out of you understand business, and you kind of really understand social media really on a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
I think they selected her because they thought she was a good alternative to some of the old guard.
Mm-hmm.
As long as people continue to keep their affinity for her, I don't think there's going to be an issue unless she just takes this totally contradictory position, kind of like Michael Burry. She hasn't chosen to take that kind of contradictory position. So I don't think that she's going to be a problem long term. But they're still going to always be looking for who's the person that we can kind of connect to, that can drive the views, drives the attention that people still have an affinity for, but
Hmm.
isn't such rebellious or contradictory to the message that we're trying to put out.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, I
I
feel
mean,
you.
he might not get the government contract just because he be wilding. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
someone asked, do you think they think that Wells Fargo taking away personal lines of credit was a red flag to a possible crash? I do think so.
You
I
think
think,
so?
um, I heavily think so. Well, and I also think, uh, I feel like they put old girl out there, the fake Pocahontas Indian, Elizabeth Warren, to say
Yeah,
something
yeah, yeah.
about it to kind of calm us down. Like,
Okay.
hey, Wells Fargo's has been restructuring for years. This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
Wells Fargo, once they got caught, and again, you can go look this up for yourself. You don't have to believe me. Wells Fargo for the past 5 years in a row has had to pay out $40 million like each year because they keep getting caught in these subprime loans, where they sued and said, okay, yeah, we did do that against black and brown people. Okay, subprime loans again. Okay, we did do that. So it's like every couple of years, like the lawsuits finally make it through the courts from 2007, 2008, 2009, and they have to pay this money back. So that's when people say, "Oh, Erica racism money." Now, what you talking about?
Yeah.
Wells Fargo is paying almost $1 billion at this point
Yeah.
and paying back on lawsuits. So I think they're accurate. So on top of that, yes, they're restructuring, but common sense says to get more customers, you would give out more lines,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And they got caught again making fake accounts. So, and they were actually, what made it so bad is they would take people who actually had an account, make them a new account, and say something happened to the old account, and then give them the new account and go, hey, here's your new account number and everything. We just protecting you from fraud. So they
Mm.
lying and doing bank fraud. So
Yeah,
Wells
yeah, yeah.
Fargo is a problematic bank, period. But if you took that and thought, well, that's just fine, so what? You ain't paying attention.
Yeah, I want to observe because we had the stress test for the banks come out. I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago.
Hmm.
Everybody did pretty well. A lot of people said they're going to start issuing out dividends. Some of them going to do
Hmm.
stock buybacks. They're getting
Hmm.
ready to go into their earnings season. I want to kind of
Hmm.
see how they do with earnings because I read about this particular thing. They're also not doing HELOCs. They stopped that in 2020.
Hmm.
So we want to kind of understand why did it, because I didn't understand why they would make this decision because that's a big bank product for them. So
Hmm.
I don't understand why they would take money away from the bank with this particular decision if it is one of their, now I wouldn't say one of their leading bank products, but it is a bank product for them that's profitable. So it doesn't really make issues. I don't know if they're saying that they have liquidity issues. I don't know why they would make this decision. Like the real reason why they would make this decision. Maybe they are getting ready for a crash, but this is just very
Well,
interesting they would make this decision.
can we? I'll do it this way. You have
Okay.
what the public, like majority, the 80%, whatever you want to call them, are purchasing and
Yeah.
using, which I say is Wells Fargo, and then you have that 20% that are
Okay.
using something different. So right now, we just had in Roger 20%, we had Kareem Baldwin come on. He's like, it's like gangbusters. It's like hotcakes. How they've been doing HELOCs with
Okay.
other banks, right? They have over 500 different programs they can use, right? So
Okay.
they're still going and doing house flipping. They're still doing working capital loans. They're still doing small loans. The 20% down. They do all these things that you thought, oh, they got rid of that in 2008. No, they
Yeah. Yeah.
didn't. They just left it for the professionals.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
They left it for the guys in Chicago and the people that do this all the time. That the guy who does it every single, 90 days, he's flipping a house, he's getting a cash out refi. Those people are still going. On top
Okay.
of the fact that you guys have to remember the um if you own, I think it's if you own 3 houses in America, you are in the 1%.
Okay.
Like just three. That's not even, right now I've got 11 rentals. Three.
Okay.
You're in the 1%.
I
So
feel
that
you.
means the average American has a second property somewhere or partial somewhere, or they co-sign for their daughter somewhere. So by the time you get to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rental properties and you HELOC and you cash fine, you in a different space over there anyway.
Okay.
Wells Fargo ain't talking to you. Wells Fargo's talking to Aunt Judy who wants to go on vacations this year. Wells Fargo's on TV talking to your uncle who want to buy a camper this year. So it's way two different markets going on.
Okay.
And I think, again, as we talk about levels with this, um, there are people who are going to be millionaires out of this. A crash could happen tomorrow. It'll still be a bunch of stock folks making a ton of money. It'll still
Yeah.
be a bunch of real estate people make a ton of money. There'll be 2 million maybe of what they think repossessions, foreclosures, but I doubt it'll be that high. I think they're going to try to structure a lot of stuff with people. It just is
Okay.
in their best effort.
But let me say this: with Wells Fargo getting rid of that particular line of business for them, that's going to open it up for what other banks you think that you're going to have like private lenders go after that book of business. And also, are they going to sell that customer list? That's the biggest thing, because I'm an email marketer. So my question is, that list of people that they have that bought those credit lines of credit, are they going to sell that list to somebody else? Because if I was a person offering, I wanted to go take that business, I would go to Wells Fargo and say, how much you want for the list?
They got
Because I
to.
know these people. Okay.
They have to. There's
Yeah.
the best way to make money out of that is, hey, we just lost this customer. Bank of America, do you want it? Do you want,
Yeah.
or who wants it? Because I'll tell you right now, with the PPP happen, I have one phone that's just like a fake office phone or whatever. That
Yeah.
phone rings night and day. Hey, we saw you got that PPP.
Exactly.
Can we give you something? Would you? Do you need some more money? Do you like?
Yeah.
They're just basing it off the fact that we had $100,000 PPP loan, and I know somebody's like, "Well, I searched you, Erica. Yeah, you saw one of my businesses. You didn't see the other five." So I know they be counting your pennies out here on the internet. Go
Yeah.
ahead and
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
what you got
For
to do.
real. Yeah.
And so they're basing it off of, well, she must have this many employees, this much stuff going on. They can do a good math. They can
Okay.
tell if because before this, the bank would go, oh, we just can't approve you for 100,000, girl. We just can't do it. Maybe 50, maybe 30. PPP said 100. Here you go. So that means what comes behind that person? A company that could give you 30,
Yeah.
right? Because they knew the bank probably guesstimated 30 and didn't give it to you, and you got the PPP. So now they're like, well, we know she has access to money. You know she qualifies with the government. So it's a lot of that. So your information is being sold day and night either way.
Okay.
Jabras, good comment. Let me see there. I was a mortgage lender. It started in late 2006. Okay,
Yeah.
I stand corrected. There's 325 people here. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Um, Brokers were closing like crazy, but not many people knew they don't deal with mortgage brokers directly. Good point. Good point.
Well, Jabraz, next time you see it, let me know so I can short the spot. Because if I would have known in '06, '07, I'd be a millionaire, because I had no idea. I had no
See, and
idea the
that's the
market's
thing.
going to
It's
crash.
here's the thing, and I'll put it to you like this. I think you know better, you do better, but also too, and this may be too deep for people, but like I can pinpoint and tell you when stuff is about to, oh, that's about to go,
Okay.
because I've been in business long enough and I've talked to
Yeah.
people long enough, and like I know a lot of tow truckers, like where they tow the trucks and they have yards full of trucks
Okay.
where they've towed them and the company can't get no money back to get them. So I knew something was happening in trucking because every tow yards, we don't have space, baby. And I
Okay.
said, well, is it parts? Is it breaking it down? Is it the missing chip shortage? Nah, just people abandoning the trucks. And this is happening in tow yards from Florida to New York to Texas to Oklahoma. The people I know who are in the business are like, honey, it's happening again. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, this happened the last crash, where
Okay.
I just start having companies, they would abandon the truck. And then, you're like, well, don't they take it to auction when they repossess it? Oh, yeah. But then auction's delayed. So then we're all sitting with all this extra inventory. And it's like a little domino effect. And so once you really get in business and you start um, getting in rooms with certain people, you know what's up. Or the formation of super teams, right?
Yeah.
So we think that's just a kind of black YouTube thing or black Instagram thing, but I'm actually over here going to several conferences in the fall with predominantly white conferences, and they are making super teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are like, come, hey, my fund's gonna partner with your fund, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna put this together, and we're gonna buy this apartment. Like I've seen an apartment in Dallas get sold 6 times. This same apartment that I saw maybe 5 years ago, it was 700,000. It was a C kind of raggedy. Just sold for 3 million again.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff I see in the market, but that's another day.
So let me ask you though, the truck sitting on a lot not getting claimed again, is that a lack of liquidity in the market for those particular truckers? Are they not bringing in
Lack
enough
of
money?
liquidity,
Okay,
lack of
lack of liquidity.
liquidity.
Okay.
So what happens is, it's like credit lines run your business, and
Okay.
and people are like, oh, Erica, what do you know? I'm like, I was in trucking for 3 years. I spent over $300,000 in repairs. I know when you see these big companies say, hey, you guys, just bring the trucks back. We're gonna have your check when you bring the truck. If you go on Facebook, all the men say, don't do it. Leave it there. They're not gonna have your check for you when you get there. They're closing. They're out of money. Like
Yeah.
the Facebook drops it for you before you even know,
Okay.
right? And that's what's scary is like these men are on Facebook groups saying, hey, don't pick up nothing for that trucking company. It's going under. Don't click
Okay.
on anything for that. That company's going on there. And that's how fast the internet information is moving. And that's why, I'm gonna just be honest. That's why a year ago I was like, oh, I need truck parking lots. Because one thing on one level, you can charge them $100 a month per truck, right? To $200. I mean, if you're in Atlanta, $300 a month.
Yeah.
Then if they just quit on their truck, they don't pay. They got a 30-day to 60-day in some states where now you can claim an abandoned truck file and it's your truck now.
Okay.
You have the title. So now you've got a $30,000 to $50,000 asset to do something with, right? And so what people don't understand is that's a whole nother level game that I sat and talked with a dude in Atlanta, and I was like, what? He was like, oh yeah, I know what's happening right now. I just had to claim abandoned truck title on 6 trucks.
Mm.
And I said, well, what was the bill? How big was the bill? $2,000.
Dang. And they
That's
couldn't get
another
that
guy.
money?
But think of here's the David. It's like a whole thing. It's like, let's
Okay.
say your truck needs to get the plate needs to be
Okay.
updated. You don't went now. You got illegal plates. DOT gonna get you. This
Yeah.
gonna get you. They gonna hit you, right? You're gonna get got, right? So even if you got, like, let's say you have 2 grand, you go get your truck out. And this is how, like, if you look up Hood Estates and other people, this is how they got into the game. Where somebody, I don't even have enough money to pay for the repair. Hey, I'll
Yeah.
pay for the repair. Just give me the title.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is very popular. Um, they're title truck companies. Like literally, we think car titles, they have semi
Yeah.
truck
Yeah.
title.
Okay.
So they're like, hey man, we'll work with you. Just come in and bring a little bit of money every week, right? And so there's been lawsuits because some tow companies have been abusing it, right? Instead of it being like a $2,000 tow fee, they're like, oh, it's gonna cost us 20 grand. It's gonna cost us 10 grand. So they've been milking some people. But
Okay.
now when they can't milk it because the credit lines are tightening, they bring it down like, hey man, just make payments, yo. Like, come on. Like, don't
Yeah.
leave the truck here. Don't leave me with a bunch of equipment that I can't use, et cetera, et cetera. So
Okay.
there's a whole show I could do. And that's why when people think they know something, I be getting like, okay, cool. Like, tell me in a year. Show me who was right. When y'all have to redo them insurance this year for 2 million instead of 1 mil. When you have to put 10,000 down instead of 5,000 down with Progressive to actually get in the trucking. Let me know how you feel.
I
Let me
feel
know
you.
when you wanna do big boy talk, because I know it's on the wall, the writing on the wall.
Okay, but see, let me say this for you. Stop. This type of information that you're giving is very valuable because this is the type of stuff that hedge funds have. They have access to like the on the ground information, and they're able to utilize that to try to figure out what kind of plays they want to make in the market. So this is what you just told me is very, very important because on average, the average person don't have access to this type of information, so they don't know what are some of the characteristics on the ground where we can see how it's impacting the larger economy. Because everything that's going on in trucking is going to impact all of us because of the way in which we move
Hmm.
freight around the country. So if
Yep.
you're seeing stress in the trucking industry, eventually that stress is going to get applied to the larger economy because of how important freight and trucking is to our society. Because if you were ever worked in any type of retail establishment,
Hmm.
without your trucks, there is no retail.
Well, I'll put it to you like this: go check out the railroads.
Okay.
And this is what happened in the last crash. One of my family members got into the railroad stock and it went back up. Go check out railroads hiring positions in Florida and California. They
Okay.
just posted thousands of jobs. Because
Okay.
when trucking goes down, companies will go, well, we'll spend a little bit more money, save us some time headache, and use the railroad.
Okay. Use rail. Okay.
So all the railroad stocks that like tripled last time we had a recession, trust me. I know people who literally their job is they work on the railroad as I guess you call them engineer, whatever you call him.
Yeah.
He ain't letting that job go,
Yeah.
and he's got a side business that brings in half a mil. And people are like, man, get on out here, man. You got a business, man. He's like, do y'all know what happens when there's a recession? Like they give us bonuses, they give us all kind of crazy stuff to keep us in the railroad. We train people, we get to travel. Like it's a lit job, and I only got to be here 3 days a week.
I
So
feel you.
3 4 days a week. I think it's like real long hours though. So I just want y'all to pay attention. The money moves around. It don't stop
Yeah.
moving. It
Yeah.
moves
Yeah. Yeah.
around.
It moves around. You're right. Yeah. I know a chick was working for CSX. I think out in Tampa. She was making real good money.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
she was killing it. And then she
Yeah.
got stock options. Okay, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if she kept them, some people sell their stuff, but if she was smart and she kept them, I'm just telling you, pay attention. Facebook and a lot of these companies are building whole little cities right by the office because they aren't gonna be able to control the amount of inflation or how much stuff is gonna cost outside of their little bubble.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're doing that, right? And so again, pay attention, y'all.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't know what date or when, but I can go hop on Facebook and go feel the vibe out of stuff like, um, even lower level companies, right? Like cleaning companies. People are like, why are that so important? Well, first of all the offices emptied out. And I don't know if you know anything about offices. They're just like any other building. You can't let it just sit and rot into the
Yeah.
ground. Like somebody has to go in there and clean. They wiping down empty offices, flush all the toilets, do all this stuff. And that's why a lot of people got government covered cleaning tracks for these empty buildings. And the company's willing to pay you these $16,000 a month contracts with nobody in a whole building. Why?
Yeah.
Because you have to keep the water moving around. You got to keep the lights are going on and off. You got to keep somebody has to keep maintaining these places, and that's a big reason why a lot of y'all are going back to work, not just because the economy. You know what I mean?
I
So,
feel you. Okay.
but I don't want to bore y'all to death. But thank you, Aesthetics Guru, for the $20 super chat. I try to bring worthwhile information. I try to tell y'all what I'm seeing on the ground. And one of the biggest things I've learned in this career of being on the internet is to pivot, when to pivot, how to pivot. Um, Pay attention to industries that people flock to. Why are they flocking to that? And then why do they all of a sudden leave it? Pay attention. We could agree to disagree on that for sure. If you Geechee Dan, I know you might be in South Carolina, but I'm in Texas, and we have a ton of these warehouses that are brand new, and you're thinking, oh, they're empty. I can go by and see them. No, they're full of Alibaba. So I think, and honestly, and this is one of those conspiracy theories that Jack Mao was going to move to Texas and be like,
Yeah. He may
peace out.
need to.
He
He
just
may
he
need
just
to.
didn't get a chance. He just wasn't able to.
Yeah, he may need to. And Geechee Dan, the question is, would there be an Alibaba in 3 or 4 years the way the Chinese government is acting?
Hmm.
They had a big hit on their stock over the past few days. They've been on a lot of issues. They were one time around $300. They're much lower than that now. Amazon doesn't have those kind of issues inside the United States because of they have friction with the government.
Hmm.
Jack Ma has to be really careful with that Chinese Communist Party. He's a member of the
Hmm.
party, but he just has to be careful because they're not going to play games with him.
They're not. They don't play with
Yeah,
him. Yes, I think I answered this already. I'll be in San Diego August 7th, Oakland August 14th. We wanted to do LA. It just was ridiculous with LA prices. Um, and even there was a beach in between. I think it was called Newport.
yeah, I already know, bro.
Newport. Yeah, even in between LA and San Diego, and it just was like people like go to San Diego. DC. I look forward to seeing you there. Well, that's the thing, good man. People are looking for something, some kind of strategy. But by the time you realize the amount of energy you put in MLM, you could build your own daggone thing with
Yeah.
less headache. Um, I don't. I ain't gonna say nobody cares. It's a nothing burger. I don't mean to, but Dave may have a different.
Yes, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I don't be
I,
disrespectful.
no problem. I don't think it's going to be on the overall economy in Curtis. We saw that it went up because of that, and then it got downgraded. I think it will push the stock up.
Hmm.
I don't think Virgin Galactic is going to really make their money on space travel. I don't think that's something that's going to be even
Hmm.
applicable to the average public. What I think they will make their money on is supersonic travel. So I think their real business model is going to be
Mm.
luxury supersonic travel. Some of y'all may be old enough to remember the Concorde. So Diana Ross, a lot of times, will take the Concorde from New York to Paris to shop so you can get back within the same day. I think
Ooh.
that's what their business model is going to be, the luxury. But I think they're using the space travel as a marketing promotion.
Hmm.
So I think if that goes successful, it can bring the stock up. But what is the actual business model? Because I don't think the business model is going to be the how many minutes you can spend in that little crust of the atmosphere for space travel and the people come back down. I don't think you can really make a lot of money, but I think you can make a lot of money if we figure out a model that works for supersonic travel, especially for people that want to go over the Atlantic really fast and then come back to the United States.
It's you versus you in these markets.
Fact,
I would believe. She
fact.
said options are great. You have to have the patience and goals in mind, but they can be great long term. Now, you guys, I felt like so proud of myself. I was like, okay, I got in here and I did an options trade and I
Yeah,
had a stop loss. And by the end
exactly.
of the day, I came back from lunch. I'm like, oh Lord, they done cash me out. What happened? I should have made them numbers different. This is not for me. No, I'm messing.
Hey,
I just was,
I
but
feel
it was fast because I was like, I was very cautious. I was like, make it three more cents, right? And,
yeah.
and so it cashed me out. But um, it's good.
Yeah, as long as you took profit, it's good.
Ah, what do you think on that, Dave?
I
That's
think
on
I
you.
think I think their IPO is probably going to be the biggest IPO from a volume standpoint, probably in the last 4 to 5 years. I don't know if it's going to create the downturn in the market. But I think their IPO is going to be massive because of the audience that they already have. And I
Hmm.
tell people all the time is the reason why they did what they did with the meme stocks and how they cut off people's access to buy more is because
Hmm.
they had to keep their relationship with the
Quitting.
institutions because they
Hmm.
needed the IPO. So they're not going to go against the same people that are going to allow them to IPO because when those guys IPO, those two founders are going to be billionaires immediately. Like they're going to have more money than they ever could spend in their life. So they weren't going to go against the game to help out their consumers or their users and go against the same people that are going to allow them to IPO in the public markets and become billionaires.
I feel like M1 Finance was losing the interest game against
Okay.
Robinhood and against other platforms. Honestly, just be honest. Um, and so when they start offering, hey, y'all can get 5 grand. Hey, you know what? If you put 3 grand in your account today, we will loan you today. And I'm like, what is up? Well, y'all are
Yeah.
blowing these emails up. Like, I don't know if y'all having a liquidity problem or what's going on over there, but y'all better calm down. And so people are like, Erica, did you see that, man? You can move 3 grand over and they'll loan it back to you. And I said, yeah, they give you an option to take a loan or take margin. And I'm like, people gonna take a loan and it's gonna be all this interest. That's ridiculous. But it that's when you know there's a shift coming.
Yeah.
I don't know about leaps, but this is a guy in your class.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily, do you know if you need a class on specifically Leap? So the question you want to ask, if you understand the fundamentals of what we're teaching in the course, is that I tell you always buy as close to the money as possible or the expiration date as far out as possible. So based on your analysis of that particular share movement, you may find it sufficient to take a leap. And I would call a leap anything over 6 months. You may find it successful to take a leap over, let's say, a year, or maybe out to the farthest expiration date. So, but the biggest issue is that one, do you have the capital to afford to take the farthest expiration date? So it's easy for me to tell you to buy the 2 years out, but do you have the capital to buy 2 years out? Because when you buy a lot of theta, that's very expensive. So the principles are the same, whether you buy short term or whether you buy long term, because one of the things I teach you in the actual course is to do what? Buy as far in the money as possible, or at the money, and buy expiration date out as far as possible. And if you can't afford to do that, you need to ask yourself why you're in the play. Because I know the short-term plays are very attractive because they're less expensive, but they're a lot more volatile. So what you're doing is you're purchasing volatility and you're not able to purchase intrinsic value and you're not also able to purchase theta. So I don't think we need a specific class on leaps. One of the things that I want to really encourage you as an options trader is to get away from thinking that a specific strategy is a solution and understanding that fundamentals are the solution. So I coached basketball for a very long time. The way you become good at basketball, Chris Paul is showing you this now, same thing, Booker. You know, you become really successful at basketball, you learn the fundamentals. And if you learn the fundamentals, you will kill people. If you work on specific moves, well, the problem is that how do you apply that move? You only can apply it based on the specific situation. If you understand basketball on the level that Chris Paul understands basketball is at a fundamental level, you'll kill people forever. And he's showing you that now because he's very fundamentally sound.
Yes, you guys, it's on the Just Stocks Profits class. Again, just came in. People that are just coming in and asking, does he have a stock class? I put it in the chat and also put it here now. You love how they did the quotation marks. Hey, if you want to share some financial advice, that's quotation marks, not financial advice. You can. It means if you have any stock options that you think, give them a little
Okay,
hint.
so
Yeah,
um,
tread
so what
lightly.
I'm
Have
looking, so okay, so yeah, so this is not, so I'll tell you a play that I'm personally in, right? So it doesn't mean the play is gonna work for you. It's a play that I'm in. I have leap puts, so we just talked about leaps. I have leap puts on a car, which I believe is what's the name of the car rental agency starts with an A?
Avis.
I think it's Avis, but their stock ticker CAR. And so why do I have leaps on car? One, they're overvalued. They're not worth what they're trading at. They
Mhm.
took on a lot of debt to try to make it through COVID. And so as a result, I believe that that particular share price is going to move down. If for any reason we have this Delta variant thing starts to become a deal, which I don't know, I guess they're going to try to make it into one now.
I'm gonna try to.
And the markets, the actual economy shuts back down. It's going to put a lot of pressure on that particular rental agency because, in a sense, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the airlines, right? But even without that taking place, I believe that that stock is very overvalued. So I took leap puts on that particular stock, going way out until next year, and I'm just going to sit back and just watch that stock price just sell down, right? But like I told you before, it's not the strategy; it's the fundamentals of understanding the market and also understanding that particular ticker is why I was able to take that position. keep telling you, do not get fixated on these specific options, tricks, and these options. And I do this kind of, that has anything to do with anything. Get fundamentally sound and utilize your fundamentals to be successful. Work on the fundamentals of the market, the fundamentals of an options trader, and utilize those to be successful. Because there's a reason why Chris Paul is still the kind of player he is this deep in his
Yes.
career. It's because he's
Okay.
fundamentally sound.
And they're gonna win it in 6. They already done hollered it on TV. I don't know if they got that played scheduled in or what, but I I will say this: something's happening right now that no one's even talking about that we're kind of
Okay.
ignoring. India is basically quarantined.
Yeah.
They cannot leave. They don't have flights leaving from there. They don't have flights going into there. They only have cargo supply planes coming in.
Mm.
And everybody's forgetting about the fact that we've essentially quarantined India
Okay.
from going anywhere. I have friends who have Indian parents who are in Austin, Texas, can't go home. There ain't no flights. There are no flights. Like they can fly to a another country and try to cross into the border.
Yeah.
But what's the point of doing that? So they're there watching their grandbabies passing the extension date of their visa, which is very common in Austin Round Rock. A lot of Indian folks. We have a lot of new Indian restaurants. That's not uncommon in this area. But no one's even talking about that. And India made the play like they were a big component player against China. They're self-contained, right?
Yeah.
Are they? How are they doing? Are they functioning? Are they thriving? They depend on their underclass society to come into the bigger cities and do all this work. Well, then
Yeah.
they send them all home, and then now it's like, what's going on in that country? And I think that's your October surprise is
Okay.
India
Yeah, and
because
I'm
we
glad, and I'm
go ahead.
glad you brought that up because when COVID first hit, I thought that they were going to have the issue that they're having now initially. And if for some reason it seemed like they were able to manage that particular pandemic initially, and then now for some reason it's gotten really bad on them. So it's interesting what's going on with them now because I thought that would happen initially, and then they would have to try to figure out how to deal with it. And it seemed that there was a stagger effect where it didn't happen initially, but now all of a sudden now they're saying it's out of control.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, India, any disease would be doing this to India. Let's just be
Okay.
very clear. They're just the growth is crazy, right? And then on top of that, their water system is awful.
Okay.
Like they tell you don't drink the water there. They can't drink the soups there. You can't drink a lot of stuff. When you go as American group, even when you go in a tourism group, they literally are like, hey, you go to hospital, we gonna have to leave you. It's just like they have procedures in place for it. And so India is much China claims India's poaching off them. We're gonna see how India can survive through this because a lot of people got sent home, and they can still run companies over there. They can still run everything digitally. Um, they can be basically insulated, but I think they are our October surprise that we'll learn about. Bali is shutting back down,
Mm.
and Bali basically survives off tourism. Italy had a big hurt, but they need tourism because 75%, like I think we're 70% of our economy is consumer spending.
Yeah.
70% of their economy is tourism.
Yeah.
So they were like, be damned. Like we'll have hospitals full. We don't care. We need you here. Same thing with Greece, right? And so parts of Europe is, you already saw Croatia and then be like, I don't care what they say. We opened up. Vaccinated, no vaccinated. A lot of the smaller countries are like, we need this money. So I would be interested to see what airline stocks and hotel stocks are going to do October, November, December this year.
Okay.
So I'd be very interested in that because I think Americans drive the push to that we gonna do what we want,
Yeah.
right? We're gonna be out here. Australians too. Australians were like, we out, we don't care. So and how does the world look when we don't we buck, right? So you see the riots going on in London right now. You see the riots going on in France. Well, you don't really see them because the news isn't really playing it, but
Exactly.
they're rioting because they do not want to go back inside. Like they already say, hey, we're gonna do this. Nope, we're not going. Like if you go see the photos, go Google this on your free time, y'all. But London, they were like 3 miles deep. So I don't know if you understand how far 3 miles is, but imagine a mass of people 3 miles deep on the London streets, which London is very like, let's be neat and
Yeah.
follow the rules. So the Queen don't care. Y'all gonna go back in the house, is what she said. But so we don't have a queen over here. But yeah, that would be my interest because I think Mexico now understands. Like when we were in Cabo, there was construction that just stopped. You could
Okay.
see where it had got halfway through buildings and halfway through apartments, and it just stopped. Well, then by the time I got to go Mexico the second time, it was like it was back up. The construction packing back up because Cabo and Cancun won this. Tulum won this. Like when people had somewhere to go, where can I go? Mexico. We'll be
Yeah.
open. Come see us. We don't care. We're open. And so I think Mexico got a good laugh out of this deal too. Have you noticed that he said Kramer is hating on her?
Yeah,
I
they have
didn't.
been. They have been. And
Okay, okay.
I just think it's a good way for them to create content around it because she's a favorite. So the way Kramer makes himself relevant is he just hates on the favorite. Because Kramer got a lot of people that don't like him. So it's just
Hmm.
that's just how it goes. Is that he figures, well, Kathy Wood is a good place for me to kind of point my attention at. It makes me trend because she's hot. So
Yeah.
him working as entertainment, as long as he's been working, he understands that if I'm not hot, I just try to attach myself to somebody that is hot, create a little bit of controversy. Do I agree with everything Kathy Wood says? No, but I think a lot of people don't understand. Kathy Wood is a trader. And I think a
Right,
lot of
right.
people see her as a long-term investor. She trades in and out of positions all day. So I think one of the dangers of trying to mirror what she does is what I'm understanding is that she, to me, is a trader. She constantly trades
Hmm.
in and out of positions. She's
Hmm.
let people know that if she buys into something, if it goes up, she's going to trade out, take profit. And if she wants to look at something and it sells off, she's going to buy in low. So she's constantly looking to trade because she's being judged by the return of that particular fund on a quarterly and a yearly basis. If you're not in a position to trade like her and to trade in and out, I don't understand why you would want to mirror what she does because she pretty much is a trader, right? She is judged by quarterly and yearly returns, annually,
Hmm.
biannually. And so that motivates her activity for her particular index funds that she's running.
Okay, okay, I see that.
Yeah.
I trade options. I can't see this being a the invest doc. I can't see this being a mainstream thing, and it's quantitative. Has a learning curve. It requires ongoing discipline and risk management, not a recipe for mass adoption. Oh no,
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a mass adoption. I think when you start seeing, I'm just I'm gonna go there. Wall Street bets, a bunch of 21-year-olds who don't have jobs. They literally left college from Harvard and Yale and some of these locations and are trading daily. And people kind of make fun of, oh, you're an investment bro. But these kids don't have to get a job. You in your car
Yeah.
every day driving 40 hours a week, man, and they at home trading, even if it's small positions in and out. Like I actually know some people who do just some small trading, and they haven't had a job the whole time I've been in Austin. Live in a downtown apartment that's $3,000 a month. Who's laughing, right? So yeah, there's just a precision of there's a percentage of people, and I'll just go there, bump it. There's a percentage of black people that should already be in some of these markets, and they're not. So until we get it like a 20% emerging
Yeah.
to even get in there, right? There's article after article showing, yeah, the stock market's been booming, but we're not even invested in it, so we're not even getting any of that.
Yeah. And in the investor doc, what I would say is, we would have to define what we mean by mass adoption. We in a country of
Right.
300 million people. What do we mean by mass adoption? But what I would say is that I think it is unfortunate that we're not even exposed to the space where we can
There
make
you
a
go.
decision about whether or not we want to do it. So,
Hmm.
what we are exposed to from a mass level is not necessarily meeting our desires and it's not getting us what we want out of life. And then we're not exposed to anything different. So we kind of think that we just got to get stuck in this particular routine. So when I was coming up, not to really go into it, is, I know people that made a lot of money working. And then I thought the only way you can make a lot of money is that you either go into entertainment or you do something illegal. I didn't even know about that you can get a lot of money out of the markets. I had no idea. I had a member of my family talk to me about options probably 2009. He didn't really elaborate on it. I didn't know about it. So until I really started learning the market and I got exposed to the options market, I had no idea that it even existed. I didn't know about the commodities market. I tell everybody now, if you learn the markets and you watch Trading Places, it's a totally different movie. When I first watched Trading Places as a child, I thought it was just a comedy. I didn't understand that it really was a movie about the markets because I didn't understand the markets. So we got to define mass adoption, what we mean by that from a numerical standpoint. Does it require a lot of self-discipline, a lot of self-learning? Most definitely. But I think that we're doing people a detriment by not even exposing it to them. But we live in a country to where K through 12, you might get one semester of basic macro and microeconomics. So we're very behind as a country on exposing people to any kind of the economic forces in the world because we're in a
Hmm.
country that's really designed to produce workers. It's not designed to produce people that are investors and business owners.
We could all solve the insider trading program by making politicians liquidate equities and convert them to
That is
SP.
100% correct.
What is SPY
It's just the
for people who don't
overall
know?
ETF for the S&P 500.
And I
You
think
know,
there you go.
yeah. That would be a
That would
solution.
be fair. That would be
Yeah,
fair.
that'd be a solution. They just have to invest into the overall market.
Good point, Mr. Travis.
Yeah.
Good point. Thanks for the answer that. Oh, she said it took her 6 months to get comfortable trading paper.
Yeah, but see, so I would ask Miss Bella, um, if you really want to get good at something, is 6 months a long time?
There you go.
So that's the question. So if you really want to get good at something, it's 6 months. Because and I talked about this in an early video. If you want to get 10 grand out of the market over the quarter, how
Hmm.
many hours are you willing to spend to get to 10 grand? Because
I'm
if you
telling you.
work a full-time job, you're doing 40 hours a week for 3 months to make 10,000. Around
Hmm.
10,000, we split into quarters. It's around 40,000 a year. That's the average income of the American. So if we want to get 10,000 this quarter, we're getting ready to go into the third and fourth quarter. We want to get 10,000 this quarter. What are we willing? How much time are we willing to spend from an hour standpoint to make that 10 grand?
Hmm.
So if I
Hmm.
got to spend a year of studying to learn the markets, but then after that, I'm able to pull pretty much as much money as I want to pull out of the markets that I'm comfortable with, and it allows me to live the life that I desire, is the year worth it? Because when I was in college, I was studying like I was crazy. And what's
Hmm.
crazy is the money that I make in business, I don't make that from anything I learned in college.
Spot on.
Yeah,
Three, yes, it's really three houses. Go look this up. This is government stats. Once you get to three, you are in the top 1%.
1%. That's
When
crazy.
Bernie, what's his name, Mr. Bernie, that everybody was like, oh, he's communist. He bought a third house. One
Yeah,
house was a like a vacation house. The third house was their newer house, and they started making fun of him, talking about, oh, you Mr. 1% now, and everybody was like, why are they calling him that? Well, once you get to the third house in America, that's a whole
1%.
different level. And this is why I'm going to do a video talking about income, and I'm going to show y'all Glassdoor and all kind of stuff in the video this week, because every time I turn on Kevin Samuels, what I've learned is y'all parents, I'm just going to say it, have failed y'all. They didn't expose you to anything. They didn't make you do critical thinking or look online how much you can make from certain jobs, how much you know uh how much does this pay, how much is rent. Like, these are basic things our family set us down when we were 17. Like, this is how much rent is, this is how much this mortgage is, this is how much this costs, like step by step. And so um you have people in this dream of six figures, and when I talk about, hey, I'm single, well, you ain't, that ain't no money. You tell me another woman that made 700,000.
Yeah,
You don't know her.
yeah,
Tell me another woman that made 300,000. You don't know her. You don't know them. It's that rare. I know. I go to events and I've made more than people that have more Facebook ads playing than I do.
yeah,
I'm sitting in a room with people and they're like, what? Girl, but you should have a BMW, a Mercedes, this and that. I'm like, for what? I don't like getting that low to the ground. I got to get up. I'm getting old. I can't do it. I like trucks. Get on out of here with that. So that's another whole story for another day. Anyway, listen, top notch rocker. Some people, they don't even, they're that low information. They don't even know what's going on.
yeah.
That's the thing. They never do. They never go to jail.
No, they just pay the fine.
That's right.
Yeah, I know what they are. Default swaps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, Citadel, Amazon. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stop. Stop. Oh, we're not going there. Tyler, I'm telling you, Tyler, it drives you crazy when you see it. Yes, he does have an online stock class. I've been putting it in the chat. I promise y'all. I don't know if it's delayed or what, but I've been putting it in
Yes,
the
I do know
chat.
limit.
Um, he has his option class. I'm putting it in the chat. I've been putting it in the chat a couple different times. There you go. There is reverb on the mic. This is a wireless mic. It's Logitech. It's either it's interacting with the computer weird or something. So I'm gonna have to get another mic. But this is the mic I'm gonna use while I'm on vacation, y'all. Y'all have to work with it.
I appreciate it, Jabraz. Get in there before we raise the price up, because it's. I think I'm at the lower end of the market price wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I want to tow the trucks that tow the trucks. Hey,
yeah.
it's
I've seen that
it's really
before.
big trucks and the gas is terrible.
Yeah, I've seen that before. It's like a lift they use.
Boy, I tell y'all, I'm putting it in here. I don't know if is it being blocked. Let me know, Doug, or any of the moderators. I'm pretty sure I'm putting it in here. Um, UPS stock. I mean, people when people are home, they invest in it. They gonna shop online like crazy.
Yeah. They sold off not too long ago.
I don't know. Your thoughts on that, Dave?
The potential for stagflation because of transitory inflation coupled with deflation in commodities and other assets. So I would ask Kariga, when you say transitory inflation, well, I want to say what you mean by that. Coupled with deflation in commodities and other assets. So can you kind of elaborate on what you mean by that? So I understand what you mean by transitory inflation. When you say coupled with deflation in commodities and other assets, can you kind of elaborate what you mean by that?
Mm-hmm. And you're right. FinTech is the winner off of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, SoFi. Yeah, they making a killing. They will make a killing for the rest of this. They are acting like that. I mean, they basically. I'll just give y'all a rundown. Me as a business person who's used some of these loans, you have to give them your bank login, which the bank, that's bank don't want you to do that, but you have to give them your bank login. You have to give them your information. You have to give them like a month sometimes of bank statements, sometimes
Okay.
6 months of bank statements. Um, and essentially what they'll do is they'll just take, like PayPal and Stripe, they'll take 14% of every dollar that comes in. So you
Okay.
got $100 come in, $14 come off the top, right? You don't even miss it. It's just in there. And the reason people say, well, that's crazy, I wouldn't do that. That's silly. Who wouldn't? You know, too many e-commerce person whole business is shut down because they don't have enough money to go restock on inventory.
Exactly.
So let's say the reason why they still win fintech is, let's say I make 25K in a month. I go to the bank. Bank's like, well, maybe I can give you 5 grand. Stripe, PayPal, any of those. A lot of those fintechs, Bluevine, several of them. Oh, you made 20K? Okay, we'll give you 25
Yeah.
because that's what your company keeps making.
Yeah.
And it's hard to beat. You can't beat it. It's just
So let me
hard to
ask you.
beat.
So if you show them statement of cash flows, why is the bank hesitant to recognize that statement of cash flows? But the
It's
fintech doesn't care. But where's the fintech got to be getting their
it's
money
a
from the bank
new
too?
yeah, but it's a new way. Think about it. So Dave, if you 90 again, that's why I say Wells Fargo is for the public.
Okay.
Fintech for the business people, right? So
Okay.
let's say I come in and I'm a teacher and I always make this. I've been making this for 5 years. They gonna loan off that because they have data and charts to know. Okay, she gonna do this. She gonna pay
Okay.
this much. This is how long. This is what our risk indicators say. I've been on the phone with fintechs who have different risk indicator
Okay.
software. They're
Okay.
like, hey, we're gonna project for the year. You're gonna make a meal in this company if you continue to do this and this and this. And
Okay.
it was only February, so it only had January, February for them to go off of.
Exactly.
But they had enough computer software to predict
Okay.
how much you were gonna make for the year. So their
Okay.
numbers are different, right? Also with the fintech, think about it. They have access to do what? Look at your numbers, your website traffic,
Yeah.
your okay. So she's getting this much traffic. She's getting this much hits every month. You know what I mean? They just have a different software,
Okay. I see what you're
and so
saying.
their business model is we're gonna lend to people who don't get quick lending,
Yeah.
right? And think about it. I've had to go when I went to bank, Dave. I had to explain to the guy in front of me and then a regional manager what I do online. And I showed them, I mean, I brought my laptop with me. I had Stripe, PayPal. I'm showing them money going in the accounts, how I sell courses and consulting. And they were like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah.
We can't loan to you because it's unpredictable. And I said,
Yes. 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 They don't have a. They
what?
don't. So for the type of business you have, they don't have a risk profile set up.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
I see what
so
you're saying.
so then I went to another bank and I said, well, here's the thing. Here's this. Here's my numbers. Here's 12 months of bank statements. There's money. I've been doing this for 7 years. This
Yeah.
money is coming in. Yeah, yeah, explain it to me one more time. I said, just call me consulting. Okay, 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 consulting. Do you consult? Do you have any? What do you call those? They're not invoices. It's when somebody's gonna pay it 3 months in advance, 6 months in advance. It's basically, do you have contracts for the future?
Okay. I see what you're saying.
So they're already putting you. They don't even. They just took the consulting out of their head and put you where warehousing is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what warehouses do. That's what Kroger does. They have
Yeah.
those type of things. And so that's what I'm trying to explain to people. This market is shifting.
Okay.
Fintech is if you that's why this whole PPP thing, people couldn't understand how are people getting these PPPs. Some of these people have PayPal accounts where money's moving in and out of them. You had Uber drivers getting 13, 15K bans. Okay, and so what it shows me is the average person is over here like, well, I just go to work every day and this is what they're not even prepared to receive this money.
Yeah.
That's why I'm telling you, like Wells Fargo thing, people in real estate are like, okay, whatever. Like I'm still over here dealing with Fundrise. Fundrise will fund you. Patch of Land will fund you. Several of these online peer-to-peer lending places will fund you in 14 days.
Okay.
because people need somewhere for the money to go. And so they'll give it to Bob, who's been flipping houses in Dallas for 2 years because he's still flipping houses in Dallas. And Dallas is hot. Stuff like that. I hope that made sense, y'all.
Yeah, it make a lot of sense.
I don't even know. Bullet train before a plane. I would take a bullet train as well before that.
Yeah, I feel you.
I don't even know what that company is.
Yeah, I know about Jumia. Yeah,
Okay.
Jumia. Yeah, that's considered, some people consider like the Amazon of Africa. I've been really bullish on them for a very long time. They had a little bit of a sell-off, but I think if they can figure some things out from a logistics standpoint, I think they can have it big. And we know that Nigeria, from an e-commerce standpoint, is supposed to be considered the biggest market for African e-commerce. Because of the age of that particular consumer base. They have a very, very young consumer base. So if Jumia can get it right, they're either going to be the biggest e-commerce provider in Africa, or either somebody's going to come in and buy them like Amazon.
Spot on. Thank you so much, Malik. That's what I want. Yes, that's the word. That's
Agent
the word.
report.
That's the word. There you go. I think he answered the question you asked him earlier.
So demand-driven inflation of 7 enormous amount of liquidity across the board is causing inflation in labor, deflation in labor and other commodities. Okay, I don't understand what it means by deflation in labor. So you're saying that the cost of labor is going up, and I understand the commodities market. So that's when you say a deflation in labor, that the cost of labor, that's inflation. So I don't understand what you mean by deflation in labor. And maybe I'm just not understanding the language that you're using. I understand what you mean by temporary dividend.
Man, y'all in here wilding with these comments. Y'all in here commenting hard.
Kariga, I need to give you my email. We can chop it up on email because I just want to really sit down and kind of understand what you mean. Yeah, I believe you did, Bennett, the way Avis ran up.
This is what he said. Okay, this is what he said. I see what you're saying. Okay. I get what you're saying. It was a test run for GME. Got you.
Okay.
Okay, they said this is perfect. They will set up a one-on-one call with you. Somebody you answered earlier.
Okay, I appreciate it, Miss Bella. Let me know.
Okay, you guys, y'all have so many in here. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm skipping. I'm so sorry. It's been on here about an hour.
Yeah, I don't think they shut it down. It don't make no sense to shut the country down now.
Yeah. Oh, Haiti too. Haiti with when they found those oil reserves and gas that's bigger than Venezuela. I mean, I feel like that's what they've been doing in Venezuela. Like, just tell us to come in.
Yeah, Tyler. I would want to talk about Haiti, but I don't want to disrespect no Haitians. I just think I don't understand how a bunch of Latino mercenaries kill the president. Yeah, it's just weird.
I tell people, with Tanzania and them were not participating in any of the COVID stuff. They were like, we ain't taking no aid, we ain't taking nothing. We don't want to do it.
It's just weird. Well, I don't know. Yeah, Jabrass, you right.
October surprise stuff. October surprise is like, and I'm not trying to knock you, Angela. I'm not trying to be funny, but like, I've worked with Congress people and worked in people running for office for so long. The word is very common. October surprise. It happens every year, no matter the year. What was our October surprise last year? It was like the extreme lockdown in October, November, December, right? What was our October surprise for that? That Trump lost. That was it was like he was losing and you couldn't believe it, right? They're all things that are called October surprises. October surprise for us to do something else. So, don't know. I'm trying to.
Jabrass, I think
I love it. He is. He's very good at this. He's better at me because I'd be like over here, like, say what? Yeah. They would love to play poker with you.
Appreciate it. I would look at copper and also ask yourself, if China actually floods the commodities market, what do you think that's going to happen to commodities? I wouldn't worry about gold and silver. Those are long-term commodity plays. I would look at commodities like copper, aluminum, and ask yourself, if China, because they're worried about the commodities market heating up, if they flood the market, the commodities market, what that going to run the actual commodities market down? I made good money on FCX puts. I showed some of my position, but I made good money on those because of news of China flooding the commodities market. Burris, I really believe you. They do crash the markets. I wouldn't say they do it purposely, but it happens because it's what Erica talked about. It's a way to move money around. So when a particular area becomes too heated up, they crash it to get that money out of there, and they move it into another area. The money's never lost. It just goes into another area.
Jabret said, please take some money off the table.
Yeah, definitely.
Please.
I know what he's talking about too. He should have sold all of that when he became a millionaire. But I think it's not about the money. I think it's the fame that he got from being a Dogecoin millionaire. You
Yeah.
don't want to lose that fame. I would have sold that whole position and cashed out and bought some real estate.
See, and again, all roads lead to real estate, but people don't understand what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Does Buzzy, I'm not looking at leap puts, and this is not investment advice, this is my own opinion. But I am looking at puts after the split. I'm not looking at leap puts. I'm looking at shorter term puts after the split.
Oh, here you go, Brian. I ain't gonna go there, but I know y'all. We can't go there. Congrats, Angela Burgess. I think it's a good thing. I don't know on this, but yeah, I believe you. Catholic schools and May pre-taught them on a lot of this stuff. Smaller schools, yeah, college prep schools. Brian, I'm gonna let Dave say something on that. I ain't gonna.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I tell people to look at the indexes, look at the ETFs that represent the indexes because they're so liquid. You don't have to worry about liquidity issues, and you don't have to worry about the CEO tweeting something or maybe a short seller coming out with a bad short seller report and it dumping the whole scenario like you can have, or maybe some type of legislation. So if you can trade the SPY successfully, you can make a lot of money. The same thing with the QQQ, but most importantly, the SPY. I'm a big fan of the UVXY. It's not as liquid as a SPY, but it's kind of like a reverse of the VIX. Not investment advice, it's my own opinion. And I normally look to buy puts on it when it spikes up. I look to buy puts on it going back down, and then when it spikes up, and I just kind of rinse and repeat that particular strategy, and that's worked for me.
Man, Tam, that's a lot. That's a lot of upfront capital when the average American just don't have it. That's the thing. So.
Yeah, 20K a month is a lot.
Okay, I see what you're saying. He learned a long time ago the hard way. Got you. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I feel you, get you. And
Communism for ye, not for we. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. But see, and this is the thing about, and not to get into political conversation, I don't
Mhm.
think Bernie Sanders is a socialist. I just think he's a politician.
Yeah, and I think the story of, to me, if my parents got swept up, my grandparents, not his parents necessarily, but his grandparents got swept up by the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I'm against anything pushing anybody anywhere. I'm all like, hey,
Yeah.
freedom, way freedom,
Exactly.
10x freedom. Roscoe, I could believe that. I believe that. Uh, okay. Boy, y'all got so many. I'm skipping. I'm sorry. Somebody said I binge watched Dave channel and made 300 in Tesla call as a result. All right,
Good
man.
deal. Good deal, Thomas. I'm glad you made it. Keep making that money. I'm a Tesla pessimistic. I'm a Tesla pessimist, but I'm glad you're able to make that money because if you look at how they sold off since the top of the year, if I would have known that, man, I'd be sitting on like 200K right now. I didn't think they were going to sell off the way they sold off. They sold off from like 900 all the way down to like 540. I had no idea they were going to sell off like that. If I knew that, I'd be sitting on $100,000 now.
Dave wouldn't even be talking to me like, hey, I'm in Belize. Talk to me
Yeah, I
later.
had no idea. I had no idea it was going to be that bad.
I'm not gonna touch Navy Federal, but I will
I
say
feel
this.
you.
I told people a long time ago when they put that loophole on Black Facebook in the Facebook groups, I said it was a wrap. Like the gig is up because everybody's talking about Navy Federal, but there's hundreds of banks like that.
Yeah.
Like I keep trying to tell y'all, there's 1,300 business banks in America. Y'all talking about Navy Federal and one other bank. Go look out. And if you're in any of my classes, I've said this in my classes, disclaimer, not financial advice, not a CPA, like go look at the top 100 banks in your state. Ignore the top 12 on the list and go call some of them smaller banks.
Yeah.
You'll actually be able to sit in office with the actual president of the bank.
Yeah.
It's not that hard because not that many people are doing real business.
Yeah. What they do on social media is something we used to call blowing up the spot. They blow up the spot now for publicity. I mean,
There you
I don't
go.
know. That's just what they do. Because once everybody tries
Ruin
it, it
it.
don't work no more. It's
It don't
ruining.
work
You
no more.
blew the spot up. But that's
Did
what
I
they
tell
do
you what
now for
happened
publicity. Good,
with
tell
Navy
me.
Federal? So if the loophole was you pay $25 to Navy League, right? And
Okay.
it just it was like one of those little supports the military things, right? And
Okay.
because you support the military, they gave you a little perk. You could open up a Navy Federal account. right? Well, the one Navy League the dudes put in all the chats was in San Diego.
Okay.
Well, there's Navy Leagues on every single base in the United States. Over $30 million came into that one place. Congress called them to the floor to
Mm.
explain why the hell is $30 million. Like they were in a mass panic. They were like, they had to recruit like I think 20 people on staff. The federal government sent some people over there to get people to say, "Hey, you're in Virginia. I don't know how you sent this here. I don't know who gave you this link, but you're not supposed to pay the Navy League. So we sent your money to Virginia's Navy League."
Yeah.
Well, because the people follow somebody's advice on Facebook and the Black Twitters and stuff. Um, Congress had to call a session for these people to explain where was this money come from. Because imagine an office that only gets, $50,000 a year or something like that, just to support the troops with local candies, charities, events, cookouts, support your local sellers. Got $30 million
Yeah.
in
30
one year,
million.
and honestly, in like a 6 month period, it became a like, what is happening over there? Call it the carpet. And so they had to close the Navy League loop by the end of the year after they went to Congress. And so all these people started getting paperwork from random Navy leagues who really weren't that effective in lobbying that they get the free Navy Federal account.
Yeah.
And Navy Federal went and closed a lot of people's other accounts. So again, y'all blew it up trying to get those $25,000 lines of credit. And you have to understand, USAA and Navy military people don't get a lot of benefits. So it was the one thing that this bank was doing to kind of fill that void, that gap. They knew you were always going to be paid. They knew you get paid the first and the 15th. And so, yeah, they gave healthy lines of credit because they knew they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
Y'all just killed it. So, you'll always have money. An appliance warehouse in service right now for the rest of the year, even if people have to go back in their houses. Number one in Texas is pool service. So we had like the number one state for pools being created and permits getting given out was Texas when the lockdown happened. Yeah, Navy Federal know people is out here acting up. That's all that is. FinTech is proving your fundamentals. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to create
Boy,
new
y'all got so
valuations.
much. Y'all got so much. Y'all wearing me. Okay, let's do this one. This is a good one. I apologize, y'all.
Yep.
Letters of intent. DocuSign did change the game. Yes, this is true. Apex Clearing. Yes, Apex Clearing. Good stuff y'all saying in here. I'm finishing this out, y'all. This has been a long show. Thank you, Brandy. I know we got to run too. I'm trying. I see. If you gave a super chat, I'm reading it. I apologize. Self-made SM. Did you see all the PPP loans that are going to lead to a phase leading to debtor prisons?
Yeah.
And
I
what
talk
about Wells
about
Fargo?
that.
We did talk about it. You came in the show a little late. We had an hour and 30. Long and the story short, I did a whole video on it. That PPP was not the plug. It's the construction and loans from the government that are coming in the future. Whenever you have a Democrats and whenever you have a recession or a deep depression, they are going to loan out a lot of money to companies, and you're going to see millions of dollars go in black holes. You never hear about it again.
Yep.
I think down there in Tampa, Florida, they sent $50 million, and they had to give out. No, it was closer to 70 million, but they had to give 33 million of it to black, not Latino, not as black people because of a lawsuit. It had to be black welders, black construction, black concrete companies, black plumbing companies, and they claimed they couldn't find nobody in Tampa, y'all. I don't know how many black people in Tampa, but I'm pretty sure it's close to
It's a
like
lot.
30%.
Yeah.
So again, this is the PPP was like the little, hey, here's some crumbs to get a lot of y'all jokers out the way because now
Yeah.
y'all gonna be able to qualify for nothing. I mean nothing. Um, but the government amount of loans, like even in transportation, there's $1.9 billion in Texas every year. So some of the people you see that are jokers online that's getting these government contracts, they just throwing them out there, right? And it's not that, I'm gonna be careful. Yes, if you have bad paperwork at PPP, if you are not bright enough that you got a PPP loan and you cannot in the next year and a half before it's due figure out how to put a business together and get paid, you're an idiot. You deserve to go to jail. There, I said it. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. And the person that helped you fill out the paperwork, they deserve to go to jail too. I gotta go, y'all. There, y'all are putting so many stuff in here. Yes, link to courses inside the chat, y'all. I'm putting it in here. I posted it 27 times. I'll post it some more. It's also in the description. It'll be in the description. Good, good, good. We saw all this. Exactly. How y'all trying to scam the Navy, okay?
Yeah.
Wingstop? Yeah, I mean the chicken. When you say that 5% of chicken went down, like they culled, like, and when I mean culled, I mean they killed
Yeah.
5% of the chicken. People's like, so what? That don't mean nothing, Erica. Well, that on top of Idaho had a terrible storm killing a bunch of chickens. California, Arizona, New Mexico, and what do you call it, Nevada are in a drought. They had to cull a bunch of their chickens. Yeah, Wingstop had to change itself to Thigh Stop.
Mm.
Okay. I know I got the whole. Y'all got to hold the line. Y'all in here going hard on here. Um, I too much, y'all. I can't. We can't do it all in one show. So, all right, you guys. Dave, give them some. There you go, Dave. Give them some not financial advice and and tell them where they can learn inside your class.
Okay, so what we're going to look for in the market coming up is that the market seasonality for the S&P 500. June we're normally supposed to run. We saw us the market was really bullish Friday. We want to kind of see does that carry on to the rest of the week. We want to look out for any of this little unfortunate or kind of funny news about them trying to quote unquote bring the pandemic back with this new variant. That can kind of make the market kind of skittish. Outside of that, I don't think anything's going to really stop it. And as we go into the summer months, also look at the oil. Is the oil particular price, can that kind of maybe make the market feel skittish because they feel like oil is getting ready to go up? I don't think OPEC will fall apart. I think that'd be the worst thing to happen in the world if they can't figure out how to get on the same page,
Oh
because the only
yeah.
thing that's keeping those people together and from killing each other is the fact that they have business together. But if we get this oil situation straight out from a production standpoint, I personally believe, not investment advice, is my own personal analysis, that the long-term goal of the market will be bullish going on into the summer. If you want to look at my particular options course, the goal of my course, exactly, get you some money. Exactly. The goal of my course is to put you in a position to be able to do $2,000 a month profit out of the options market. And if you get into this market, you realize that's not really a lot of money from the perspective of the market, but that's enough money to really change your life. And not only will that change your life, it will change your perspective of how you see yourself. So whatever you desire in life, and this course primarily is for people that are not satisfied with the money they're bringing in on their 9 to 5. They're tired of the amount of money that they're tired of the amount of time that they have to take away from their family to make that money that they're making. And they also tired of having a cap on their income where they know at the beginning of the year, they're only going to make a certain amount of money regardless of like how hard they work at their job. This course is designed to get that particular problem out of your life, right?
Mhm.
So what I want you to understand is that I can help you get to the 2K. That's going to be a baseline. You're going to build off of that. But what I really want to do is get you into these markets and get you to really realize how easy it is to make this money and how this particular space has been primarily hidden from us, because our goal is really just to be workers. We was brought over here to be workers, and our goal is to remain workers based on their perspective. I want you to stop thinking of yourself as that kind of person and understanding that there's an unlimited amount of money in the market that you can get, and you and your family can pull $100 million out of this market, and nobody will even pay attention to it because that's not a lot of money to them. That's just a lot of money to us. And once you start to think about things in that particular perspective, it'll change your life, right? So that is the goal of the program. Based on the cost of the program, the value that you can get out of it is times 100. The foundational program that Erica has posted a link, it does come with 1 hour of consulting. I also have the VIP course that's around 2K that comes with 4 hours of consulting, 3 hours of mindset, and 1 hour how to put together a trading plan. We also got the Discord group, so you got other people to talk to about trades, similar to what we did on this particular platform. So everything has been laid out for you to be successful. You just have to have the desire to come in, do the work. I'm not going anywhere. Next week or next year, I'm not going to be talking about something different. I'm going to stay in these markets. I'm a very consistent person. I pretty much do the same thing every day. So that's what I have to offer to you. And I really hope that you will take a look at the course and make a decision for your future. And I will look forward to seeing you.
All right, you guys. Listen, they said getting Dave to chuckle in the name of the
I appreciate
game.
it.
Dave is an OG. They got people who bought your course. They're gonna be talking to you. Mindset change. Yep, yep. Mindset change. Yeah, you guys are good stuff. Good stuff.
Definitely.
So yeah, and you guys, as you know, on the other channel, when we don't go live over there, I usually chop this video up in a smaller segment so that it's edible, for people's busy time, and I'll put it over there in chunks. But listen, you will see it over there. And thank you guys for coming in. Again, Spice jumped 20% this week. Hey,
Yeah, it
hey.
jumped. It jumped. Yeah, it jumped up.
All right, you guys. This is your girl Erica. Thank you so much. And you guys can catch us at Just Stock Profits channel, or you'll catch us here on certain Saturdays. Thank you, Mr. Diamond Dave, for coming
No
through.
problem.
You guys have a great day.